In this video, we will be covering the final potential Straw Hat candidates: Yamato, Vivi, and Carrot. Vivi fans have been popping off a lot due to recent events in the manga. Yamato fans have been going trending a lot. And Carrot fans, well, they're around, they're here. As for Bonnie for Nakama fans, I've got something for you guys towards the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. The way this video is going to work is that I'm going to mention 6 different points that usually make up a Straw Hat. And whoever checks that box, I will be giving a point to said character. In this video, I guarantee to hurt nobody's feelings. Yeah, right. But I will be fair in my assessment. That is something I can promise you. So without further ado, let's get started. Every Straw Hat has a dream. This is nothing but a canonical fact. So let's start off with everyone's favorite tick-bittied Oni girl. Not only does Yamato have tick-bitties, but she also has a dream. A dream that she could one day leave and explore the world and be free just like Odin was. Being held captive by Kaido the entirety of her life, she has yet to experience this dream of hers. So does Yamato have a dream? She absolutely does. But, you heard that but that I just threw out there? See, this is the part where I piss people off. You see, the problem with Yamato's dream is that all it is to leave Wano. That's all it really is. As soon as she steps off the island, she has essentially accomplished her dream of leaving Wano to go explore the world. Because there's no real endpoint after that. The endpoint is getting the heck out of the country. All of the Straw Hat's dreams actually require them to travel the world to reach an endpoint. The endpoint is not to travel the world, it is to reach a certain destination, such as Luffy reaching Laugh Tale, or Frankie being able to sail the Sunny around the world just like the Pirate King did, or Brook meeting up with Laboon once more. These are all end goal-like dreams. Yamato's end goal is to get out of the country. It is a very different kind of dream that does not fit the goal of your usual Straw Hat. And because of that, I'm going to have to give Yamato half a point. I can't give her a whole point, and I can't give her 0 because she does have a dream. It just doesn't really fit as well as people like to force it to be. Next up, we have Carrot, the carrier of Pedro's will. Now we know that Pedro had a dream to bring forth the dawn. This is something that's kind of big with the Minks. There's barely anyone who talks more about the dawn than Pedro. However, the one who carries Pedro's will the most, being Carrot, would for sure have that same dream, correct? Well, here comes another problem that might piss off some people too. Now, I don't doubt that this would more than likely end up being Carrot's dream. I don't doubt it in the slightest. However, like I said, I need to be fair when it comes to assessing this situation. Carrot has not actually outright come out to say that this is what her goal is. She hasn't done that yet. And I get that's a small reason, but that's the point. It's a very, very minuscule reason that kind of holds this point back. I, for one, surely don't doubt that this will end up being Carrot's dream, going further into the story. But aside from a few filler scenes that we've seen in the anime, which, filler scenes, you don't really count those, we can't say too much about what we think her dream is as of now. As much as I want to give Carrot a full-on point for this, for the sake of being fair, extremely, extremely fair, I can't do that. Carrot gets half a point. And now we get on to Vivi. She has nothing. Alright, moving on. So now we get on to position for the crew. Every Straw Hat needs a role for the crew. This is something that's been happening for 25 years straight, and every single Straw Hat has one. So let's start off with the most easy and obvious contender for this: Carrot. If Carrot was to join the crew, Carrot would 110% be the lookout. She has shown multiple times of actually being a scout in many different circumstances. Once in Zou, and the other in Whole Cake Island, where she physically took the Crow's Nest. And for those of you who don't know, the Crow's Nest is the place that houses the lookout. It is specifically meant for the lookout role, and Carrot just happens to have a skill that fits that exact role. Ain't that a kick in the head? She's also a King's Bird, and the King's Bird is specifically meant to stay up day and night throughout the different Duke cycles. This would also very much so help her in being a very efficient lookout. because a lookout is needed day and night. I'm not even gonna make any more arguments for this. This is all I need. If you got a problem with it, go ahead and say something in the comment section. I'm giving Carrot a point. Now we get on to Yamato. Now a lot of people make the argument that Yamato can be the lawkeeper of the crew. Now this is an absolutely terrible idea because we are at the final point of the series. What is there to document? What, are you gonna document the final battle with Luffy versus Emu and that's your entire job? But like, what's going on? That doesn't make any sense, like at all. Not only that, she's shown absolutely zero talent in doing that whatsoever. This girl has not picked up a pen a day in her life. Why would I think she's skilled at it? What, cause Odin did it? Well, she's not Odin, now is she? I can already hear some people saying, oh, well, you don't need a role to join the crew. Look, if that is your response to any of this, I need you to stop wherever you're at in the One Piece manga or the anime. I need you to go all the way back to episode 1 or chapter 1, start the whole series over again. Because either you have not been actually reading or watching the series, or you haven't been paying attention to the series, or you just live in your own little bubble. Look, everybody has a role for the crew. And if you feel the need to say that for whatever your favorite character is, just so it can make sense for them to join the crew, guess what? That is a red flag. Because if you cannot come up with a role for the crew, then chances are that character that you're vouching for is probably not gonna join. I mean, at least the people who are trying to actually vouch for Lawkeeper are at least trying. Even though it doesn't make a lot of sense, they're at least trying to come up with a proper pirate role. Don't just sit there and say, nothing, you don't need it, because at that point you just failed. You just failed. Yamato gets 0 points. Now let's move on to Vivi. Now what does Vivi have to offer in terms of a crew role? A lot of people try to make the argument that she can be the diplomat of the crew. Now that's just awful. That is horrendous. You guys couldn't come up with anything better than that? What in the world? Oh my God, that is trash. I mean, I went so far as to look at different comment sections on different YouTube channels, and a lot of people really don't have anything that either A, makes sense or is even remotely good. I mean, it is forced. It is made up, and it doesn't even make sense for a pirate role. Why would you have a diplomat? I even saw one comment that said, I think she will be their public relations representative.
You need a new desk.
So, Luffy, the guy who wants to be the freest man on the planet, the man who is striving to be the pirate king and doesn't care what anybody else thinks. And the first thing you think he needs is a PR team. Vivi gets 0 points. Now we get into the unique fighting styles of the candidates. Every single Straw Hat has their own unique, distinctive fighting style. Usopp, for example, is a sniper, but he's a very unconventional sniper. Nobody really uses the weapons he uses in the way he uses them, you know? So let's start off with a person who has no points whatsoever. Vivi. Is this finally gonna be the one where Vivi gets a point? Does Vivi have a unique fighting style? Absolutely, positively, indubitably she does. Vivi wields her Peacock Slashers, a slicing weapon in which Vivi spins on her finger. This weapon is so powerful that it could behead someone. She's shown great skill and grace with this particular weapon, and she also dual wields them. Nobody else in the series fights like this. So I gotta give 1 point to Vivi. Now, does Yamato have a unique fighting style? Yamato's fighting style is absolutely amazing. Graceful, the wolf form, everything that she has, the ice powers, the glacier fangs, and she's incredibly powerful on top of that. You guys gotta understand, this girl is so unique that her fighting style is just like Kaido's. Oh wait, it's just like Kaido's. Well, what can you do? I guess I can't really give Yamato any credit on this one. I mean, guys, she's literally like an Echo character in Smash Bros. A carbon copy of Kaido. Yamato gets 0 points. Now we get on to Carrot. Now Carrot wields clawed glove gauntlets. This is very different from her mink peers because they usually tend to use swords, at least the musketeers do. Other minks would probably just use their bare hands, but she specifically uses gauntlets, which is very interesting. And you don't really see anybody else in the series use clawed glove gauntlets either, so it's very interesting for Carrot as well. So, what can you do? I gotta give Carrot a point on this one. Now we move on to strength for the crew. Now when I say strength for the crew, I mean you can't be so weak that you're weaker than Nami and Usopp. And you can't be so strong that you're stronger than Zoro and Sanji. Because, they're, Monster Trio, Wings of the Pirate King. You can't really be better than them in terms of fighting. Let's be real here. I'm just gonna get the easy one out the way first. Carrot is definitely not weaker than Usopp and not weaker than Nami. I would argue she's stronger than Chopper, and I kinda would argue she's stronger than Brook, but it's kinda hard to gauge Brook. She also gets an extra boost in strength and speed when she's in her Sulong form. So it definitely does change things around when she enters into that form. I don't know where she would rank at that point. Some people would argue that she's stronger than Robin. Some people would probably even argue that she's stronger than Frankie. A lot of people would argue many different things, but it's kind of hard to gauge it at this point in time. But we know she's weaker than Sanji. We know she's stronger than the weak trio. So I'm just gonna pass on by that one. Carrot gets a point. Now it's time for Vivi. Now Vivi, I feel like a lot of people really do sleep on Vivi. Back in Alabasta, Vivi was so strong that she was almost on par with pre-time skip Alabasta Usopp, and almost on par with pre-time skip Alabasta Nami. That is incredibly powerful. And with that knowledge, I have to give Vivi 0 points.
Move this man!
Okay, now we move on to Yamato. Now here's the thing. I know a lot of people are expecting me to say, oh, she's stronger than Zoro and Sanji, and some Zoro fans may say that Zoro is stronger than Yamato. Personally, I think that currently Yamato is stronger than Zoro, but here's the thing. Let's say in the near future, because Zoro and Sanji are going to get stronger. Let's say in like the end of Egghead or the next arc, they got a buff of some kind. It is possible that within a short amount of time, Zoro and Sanji can get stronger than Yamato. So let's say hypothetically, Yamato was to join in say like Elbaf arc. By that time, Zoro and Sanji might end up being stronger than her. And if we use that argument, honestly, Yamato's not that far out of range. It's not like she's Yonko level. It's not like she's just crazy ahead of him. Kind of similar to what happened with Jinbei, because Jinbei was definitely stronger than Zoro and Sanji during Fishman Island. The same thing could potentially happen with Yamato. It's not too far-fetched. She's not that far ahead of him. Some would argue that Zoro can already beat Yamato. So I would probably, I would definitely give Yamato a point for this. I find it fair, personally. So there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, Yamato gets a point. Now we're going to measure how close each of the candidates are with the Straw Hats. Now I'm not even going to waste any time here. Everyone gets a point here. I would argue Vivi has the closest connection to the Straw Hats, but she's only close to only half of them, whereas Yamato and Carrot, they know the rest. However, when it comes to Yamato and Carrot, she went on a whole journey with like half the crew. Carrot has been with them since Zou, Whole Cake Island, and all through Wano. Yamato, she's only been with them through Onigashima. Now granted, there was a lot of off-screen time that Yamato had with the Straw Hats, where they were partying, enjoying their time after Kaido's defeat. Overall, I would say Vivi has the strongest bond out of all of them, but they're all very close. So without wasting any more time, everyone gets a point. We're moving on to the next one. This is the bonus segment. Now the topic that I'm about to bring up isn't necessarily important when determining who's going to be the next Straw Hat, but it's a little bit important and it kind of helps us a little bit along our way. And this bonus segment topic is Blackbeard versus Straw Hat matchups. Now we all know that the Blackbeard pirates tend to have somewhat of a duality to the Straw Hats. Take for example Van Augur versus Usopp, two snipers, Chopper versus Doc Q, both doctors, one that strives to cure any disease and the other one who can create any disease. So now you see the duality. So the question is, do Yamato, Carrot, and Vivi have any sort of duality against the Blackbeard pirates? Yamato could quite possibly be compared to Katarina Devon. And the reason why I say this is because they both have mythical dog fruits. Katarina Devon having the nine-tailed fox fruit, and Yamato having the Mikami devil fruit. However, this is the strongest theory I have for Yamato versus any Blackbeard pirate. I know some people may say Yamato versus Aokiji because of ice versus ice. But me personally, I don't really think that Aokiji is going to stay the 10th Titanic captain. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with Aokiji. But let's say if that is the case, that's not enough evidence. For either one of these characters is not too much evidence. It's a little bit of something, but it's not necessarily enough. I'm going to give Yamato half a point. Now what about Vivi? Interestingly enough, I would actually pair Vivi against Avala Pizarro. The reason being is that Vivi exudes the energy of that of a pure ruler, whereas Avala Pizarro is the corrupt king, according to his epithet. I think this is quite fitting actually, because Avala Pizarro's character goes directly against Vivi's pure character, her entire character. Therefore, I think this duality really does work out quite nicely. However, this is all there is to it, but it's just enough for me to give her an entire point. Now when it comes to Carrot, Carrot as well very strangely fits along with Avala Pizarro. Here's the thing, Carrot also fits the ruler theme, Avala Pizarro being the corrupt ruler, and Carrot being a ruler as well. She is the Duchess of Zou after all. So it's two rulers of a kind. But the similarities actually don't stop there. Avala Pizarro wields glove gauntlets. Carrot wields glove gauntlets. And Avala Pizarro has this weird thing where he meows like a cat. He has lion-like features. And Carrot Sulong stands for Moon Lion. So it's these things put together that really fit this, in my opinion, better than Avala Pizarro versus Vivi. But that's just me. I'm giving Carrot a point. Now we're getting to the final point of this video. Does it make narrative sense? So for Yamato, does it make narrative sense for her to join the crew? You know what? I want you to ignore everything that I said in this video about Yamato. Ignore everything. Forget everything that I said, the points, all of it. And also forget your agenda. Forget your agenda. Just focus on this one point I'm about to ask you. What was the reason why Yamato stayed in the first place? It was to protect Wano. Because Momonosuke and the Scabbards are not strong enough. If they were strong enough to protect Wano, she'd be the final Straw Hat. She'd be sailing with Luffy right now. We'd be getting her Egghead Island outfit and everything. But we didn't. Because Momonosuke and the Scabbards are not strong enough to protect that country. She learned from Oden's mistake and actually said, I'm going to stay back instead of going after my selfish desires. And this is a choice that I'm going to make. Look guys, here's the thing. It would be incredibly weird if Yamato just showed up out of nowhere really soon. Just say like at the end of Egghead or even the beginning of the next arc. It would just be strange. I mean, think about it, right? Yamato just shows up out of nowhere at the end of Egghead Island and she's just like, oh, hey, Luffy, how's it going? And Luffy's just like, wait, I thought you were supposed to be like protecting Wano because that's the whole reason why you stayed in the first place. And she just like, oh yeah, well, I changed my mind. I just said, you know what? Screw Momonosuke. I don't care about what happens to Wano. Guys, that's weird. That's strange, terrible, horrible, awful writing. And it would be unnecessary to see that happen anytime soon. Matter of fact, I really don't even see Yamato showing up until probably the final arc with Momonosuke as well as with Pluton in their possession. If Yamato shows up anytime before the final arc, it's just strange to me. And now I know a lot of people are gonna say, oh, well, she can just join the crew in the final arc. It's just that simple. What's the big deal? The big deal is that I think that the people who say that do not care about Yamato as much as they think they do. Think about it. The final Straw Hat Yamato shows up in the final war. and officially joins in the final war, the very last arc. Do y'all not realize how screwed over of a character she would be if that were to happen? Every single Straw Hat had the pleasure of actually enjoying their journey with the Straw Hats. We got to see moments with them, how they react to different islands and so on and so forth, and how they interact with the crew. With Yamato, we'll be getting none of that because we will be in the final arc. We won't get much time to focus in on that. It will be a very small, minuscule background kind of thing. Why would you respect something like that? That's the part that bothers me. I know I'm not known as the biggest Yamato fan, but I don't want, like, if she's going to join the crew, then I want her to get good treatment. I don't want her to get trash treatment. That's just weird. I mean, she would be treated worse than Brooke, and it's really hard to be treated worse than Brooke. It would be good, very beneficial actually for her character if we actually spend time with the dang character. Right now, characters like Vivi and Carrot have traversed the world with the Straw Hats more than Yamato. If she shows up in the final arc, that would be the worst thing ever. So you've got a choice. Does Yamato show up to join the Straw Hats really, really early? Or does she show up to join the Straw Hats really, really late? Because either or doesn't make any freaking sense. They're both terrible ideas that would be terrible writing. You show up too early, okay, well, why didn't you protect Momonosuke? You show up too late, like in the final arc, okay, well, we don't really get that much time with you. No matter what you do with Yamato, it never makes sense for her to leave Wano until the very, very, very end. Yamato gets 0 points.
This motherfucker right here.
Now we get on to Carrot, one of the strangest cases in Wano. Now, let me ask you guys, did anybody actually think that her ending in Wano made sense? Like seriously, are you guys alive? Do you guys exist? Because if so, what are you smoking? Yeah, let's just force her into a random ruler position, even though she's not qualified in any way, shape, or form. She's not the strongest mink, so in terms of strength, she ain't up there. And in terms of leadership skills, she ain't up there. But oh, because she went to specifically Whole Cake Island, because that's all she did, you should be the ruler of the entire freaking nation. Guys, even Carrot didn't think that made any sense. Which kind of lets you know that the story's a little bit self-aware. Honestly, I think the dumbest course of action would be to actually end her story off right there. That, personally, that's what I think. And a lot of other people in the fandom kind of do agree. At least those who actually care about writing do agree with that. This ending for Carrot is so off-putting that it's kind of like, it kind of raises some red flags and kind of lets me know, hey, hold up, this isn't over. It ended on a cliffhanger, after all. I mean, Oda could have done the easiest job ever, and when they gave her the role to rule the country, he could have just had Carrot go, all right, guys, I'll do it. All you have to do is just draw Carrot with a determined face and have her say the words, yes, I'll do it. That's it. That's like the easiest job ever, except Oda didn't do that. Guys, it takes effort to go out of your way to not do something that simple. It takes effort. I personally think that her story is not over. Not only that, but we just recently got a Sulong ball introduced into the story, which is a potential power-up for Carrot. Because after all, that was the main problem that, I mean, every mink has that problem, but that was one of the problems that it was focused on to her when she was fighting against Perospero, when she lost against him. I think it would be kind of interesting if this leads to nowhere with Carrot whatsoever. And then also you have to really question Pedro's will. His will was that the Dawn be brought forth, that Carrot continue on and help the Straw Hats in their journey. He also wanted to join the Pirate King's crew, so in this case, her staying at Zou doesn't make a lot of sense. Honestly, she's listening more to Perospero than freaking Pedro. I mean, what does Pedro's will have to do with becoming the ruler of Zou? That's like the exact opposite of what he wanted. It's kind of, yeah, from a story perspective, it's kind of dumb. It's dumb. That's why I'm like, this can't be over, because, you know, Oda, he's better than that. He is, I'm sorry. And it makes way too much sense for the story for it to continue for Carrot. So yeah, I think I'll give Carrot a point on this one. Moving on to VVD Nefeltari. Now, a lot of people started thinking that VV was gonna join the crew just cause she had the D initial. which doesn't make any freaking sense whatsoever. What the heck is wrong with you people? You guys are crazy, but I digress. When it comes to Vivi, there are usually two sides to this. One, the side that says she needs to stay back and rule over Alabasta because her father is no longer amongst the living. And then there's the other side. The side that says, no, Vivi can't go back because Emu is currently after her. Both of these are pretty much somewhat decent arguments, but there is a problem with the latter argument. For starters, Vivi doesn't even know who Emu is, so there's that. CP0 is after her, she knows that. But secondly, I don't think this is going to stop Vivi, of all characters, from protecting her nation. You see, Vivi is very honorable and strong-willed, and she is by no means a coward. She has never been portrayed in any such way to be a coward. So Vivi going back to rule over Alabasta is probably the closest thing to her character as you're going to get. And it's the most likely thing to happen. But you never know, some crazy thing might end up happening where she just can't go back to Alabasta. The only thing I can think of is Emu kidnapping Vivi. If that does happen, then she's definitely not joining the Straw Hat crew because the Straw Hats would actually have to rescue her from Emu. And if they have to confront Emu, guess what? That is called the final battle of the series. So yeah, Vivi joining anytime before that is definitely not gonna happen in that scenario. From a story perspective, it's kind of up in the air if she can join the crew or not, but it's most likely going to edge along the side of her going back home to protect Alabasta. So because of this, I am going to give Vivi half a point. And that's it. So when we tally up all the points, Vivi fans, I would just like to let you know that Vivi actually has a decent chance at joining the crew. Vivi comes out with 3.5 points. She's gonna have to jump through some hoops, but she's still got a pretty decent chance. As for Yamato, well, Yamato fans, the hoops you guys have to jump through are quite impossible. They're like hoops that are 300 feet in the air, and the holes are the size of a mailbox, and it's covered in fire. Yamato came out with 3 points. My words of advice to you guys, just give up.
Oh, you fucking asshole!
And Carrot came out with 6.5 points, making her the most likely candidate to join. Honestly, the hoops that Carrot has to jump through is like one big old door-sized hoop, and you don't even have to jump through it, you could just step over it. It's like the easiest thing ever. Oh, and also Bonnie. Her hoops haven't even been set up yet. They're still delivering the hoops. Her character is still brand new, she's still being set up. There's really not a lot to go off when it comes to Bonnie. So I wouldn't bank too much on Bonnie. If you're banking most of your stock on Bonnie, you must love to gamble. My advice to Bonnie fans, just wait. Just wait. And that comes out with Carrot being the winner. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you disagreed with something or agreed with something, please leave a comment in the comment section. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Come and join the Vagabond's journey. I'm Vagabond Kana. And with all that being said, Vagabond gone.